preacher snorter that I always thought was nasty before. And wow, I'm so hot, so wild. She says, your vagina, untouched by a man, smells so nice, so fresh. I wish I could keep it this way forever. I get crazy wild, and then the phone rings, and of course it's my mama. I'm sure she knows. She catches me at everything. I'm breathing so heavy, I try to act normal. And when I get on the phone, she asks me, what's wrong with you? Have you been running? I said, no, Mama, I've been exercising. Then she sends me to the secretary to make sure I'm not around boys. And the lady tells her, trust me, there are no boys around here. After the gorgeous lady teaches me everything about my preacher snorter, she makes me play with myself in front of her, and she teaches me all the different ways to pleasure myself. She's very thorough. She tells me to always know how to give myself pleasure so I'll never need to rely on a man. In the morning, I'm worried that I'll become a butch because I am so in love with her. She laughs, but I never see her again. I realized later she was my surprising, unexpected, politically incorrect salvation. She transformed my sorry-ass preacher snorter and raised it up into a kind of heaven. Thank you. I have been traveling with this piece all over America and now sprawled for years. I am threatening to create a vagina-friendly map of all the vagina-friendly cities I have visited. There are many now. There have been many surprises. Oklahoma City surprised me. There were wild vaginas in Oklahoma City. Pittsburgh surprised me. They love vaginas in Pittsburgh. I have already been there 3 times. Wherever I go, women come up to me after the show to tell me their stories, to make suggestions, to communicate their responses. This is my favorite part of traveling with the work. I get to hear the truly amazing stories. They are told so simply, so matter-of-factly. I am always reminded how extraordinary women's lives are and how profound. And I am reminded how isolated women are and how oppressed they often become in their isolation. How few people they have ever told of their suffering and confusion. How much shame there is surrounding all this. How crucial it is for women to tell their stories, to share them with other people. For our survival, women depends on this dialogue. It was after performing this piece one night in New York City that I heard the story of a young Vietnamese woman who, when she was 5 years old, recently arrived in America, unable to speak English. She fell on a fire hydrant while playing with her best friend and cut her vagina. Unable to communicate what had occurred, she simply hid her bloody underpants under her bed. Her mother found them and assumed she had been raped. As the young girl did not know the word for fire hydrant, she could not explain to her parents what had really happened. Her parent accused her best friend's brother of raping her. They rushed the young girl to the hospital, and a whole group of women stood around her bed, staring at her open, exposed vagina. Then on the way home, she realized her father was no longer looking at her. In his eyes, she had become a used, finished woman. He never really looked at her again. Or the story of the stunning young woman in Oklahoma who approached me after the show with her stepmother to tell me how she had been born without a vagina and only realized it when she was 14. She was playing with her girlfriend, they compared their genitals, and she realized hers was different. Something was wrong. She went to the gynecologist with her father, the parent she was close to, and the doctor discovered that in fact she did not have a vagina or a uterus. Her father was heartbroken, trying to repress his tears and sadness so his daughter would not feel bad. On the way home from the doctor, in a noble attempt to comfort her, he said, "Don't worry, darling. This is all going to be just fine. As a matter of fact, it's going to be great. We're going to get you the best homemade pussy in America, and when you meet your husband, he's going to know we made it especially for him." And then they did get her a new pussy, and she was relaxed and happy, and when she brought her father back 2 nights later, the love between them melted me. Then there was the night in Pittsburgh when a woman filled with passion rushed up to me to tell me she had to speak to me as soon as possible. Her intensity convinced me, and I called her as soon as I got back to New York. She was a massage therapist, and she had to talk to me about the texture of the vagina. The texture was crucial. I had not gotten the texture, she said, and she talked to me for an hour with such detail, with such clarity, that when she was finished, I had to lie down. During that conversation, she also talked to me about the word cunt. I had said something negative about it in my performance, and she said that I did not understand the word at all. She needed to help me reconceive it. She talked to me for an hour and a half more about the word cunt, and when she was finished, I
listen to it. Cunt, CC, caca, cavern, cackle, clit, cute, come close, see close, inside cuh, then you, then cuh, then curvy, inviting, shark skin, you uniform, under up, urge, up, you, then end, then cunt. Snug letters fitting perfectly together, end, nest, now, nexus, nice, always done, always rather than uppercase, cunt, a jagged, wicked electrical pulse, and then a soft and warm, end, cunt, then T, then sharp, certain tangy T, texture, tape, tight, tantalizing, tensing, tease, tendrils, time, tactile, tell me, cunt, say it, tell me, cunt.
Now we have, I asked a 6-year-old girl.
A 6-year-old girl was asked, if your vagina got dressed, what would it wear? Red high tops and a men's cap worn backwards. If it could speak, what would it say? It would say words that begin with V and T, turtle and violin are examples. What does your vagina remind you of? A pretty dark peach or a diamond I found from a treasure and it's mine. What's special about your vagina? Somewhere deep inside, it has a really, really smart brain. What does it smell like? Snowflakes.
Sex workers have a rich, compelling, complex relationship with their vaginas. This particular woman blows my mind. She was a sex worker, but she only did sex work with women.
I love vaginas. I love women. I do not see them as separate things. Women pay me to dominate them, to excite them, to make them come. I did not start out like this. No, on the contrary. I started out as a lawyer, but in my late 30s, I became obsessed with making women happy. It began as a mission of sorts, but then I got involved in it. I got very good at it, kind of brilliant. It was my art. I started getting paid for it. It was as if I had found my calling. I wore outrageous outfits when I dominated women, lace and silk and leather, and I used props, whips, handcuffs, ropes, dildos. There was nothing like this in tax law. There were no props, no excitement, and I hated those blue corporate suits, although I wear them now from time to time in my new line of work, and they serve quite nicely. There were no props in corporate law, no wetness, no dark mysterious foreplay, no erect nipples, no delicious mouths, but mainly there was no moaning. Not the kind I'm talking about anyway. This was the key. I see now, moaning was the thing that ultimately seduced me and got me addicted to making women happy. When I was a little girl and I would see women in the movies making love, making strange orgasmic moaning noises, I used to laugh. I got strangely hysterical. I couldn't believe that big, outrageous, ungoverned sounds like that came out of women. I longed to moan. I practiced in front of my mirror on a tape recorder, moaning in various keys, various tones, but always when I played it back, it sounded fake. It was fake. It wasn't rooted in anything sexual, really, only in my desire to be sexual. But then when I was 10, I had this pee really bad once, on a car trip. It went on for almost an hour, and when I finally got to pee in this dirty little gas station, it was so exciting. I moaned. I moaned as I peed. I couldn't believe it. My moaning in a Texaco station in the middle of Louisiana. I realized right then that moans are connected with not getting what you want right away, with putting things off. I realized moans were best when they caught you by surprise. They came out of this hidden, mysterious part of you that was speaking its own language. I realized that moans were, in fact, that language. I became a moaner. It made most men anxious. Frankly, it terrified them. I was loud and they couldn't concentrate on what they were doing. They'd lose focus. They'd lose everything. We couldn't make love in people's homes. The walls were too thin. I got a reputation in my building and people stared at me with contempt in the elevator. Oh my God. Men thought I was too intense. Some called me insane. I began to feel bad about moaning. I got quiet and polite. I made noise into a pillow. I learned to choke my moan, hold it back like a sneeze. I began to get headaches and stress-related disorders. I was becoming hopeless when I discovered women. I discovered that most women love my moaning, but more importantly, I discovered how deeply excited I got when other women moaned, when I was responsible for other women moaning. I made love to quiet women and found this place inside them, and they shocked themselves in their moaning. I made love to moaners, and they found a deeper, more penetrating moan. It was a kind of surgery, a kind of delicate science, finding the tempo, the exact location or home of the moan. That's what I called it. Sometimes I found it over a woman's jeans. Sometimes I snuck up on it off the record, quietly, disarming the sounding alarm and moving in. Sometimes I used force, but not violent, oppressing force, more like dominating. I'm going to take you someplace. Don't worry, lay back. Enjoy the ride kind of force. Sometimes it was simply mundane. I found the moan before things even started. While we were eating salad or chicken, just casual, just right there, with my fingers. Here it is, like that, real simple, in the kitchen, all mixed in with balsamic vinegar. Sometimes I used props. I love props. Sometimes I made the women find their own moan in front of me. I waited, stuck it out until she opened herself. I wasn't fooled by the minor and more obvious moans. No, I pushed her further, all the way into her power moan. There's the clit moan. Oh. There's the vagina moan. Oh. There's the combo, the clit and the vagina moan. Oh. There's the almost moan. Right on it moan. Oh. Elegant moan. Gracefully moan. Oh. The wasp moan. African American moan. Oh shit! The mountaintop moan. The baby moan. Doggy moan. The uninhibited militant bisexual moan. The machine gun. The tortured Zen moan. The diva moan. I should be studying. I should be studying. And finally, the orgasmic intense
Actually, just to confess, it's one of my favorite monologues as a new auntie, so I can really appreciate this, and I'm sure like a lot of the mothers can appreciate this, and if you're an auntie, or sister, whatever, brother, father as well, like everybody can appreciate this. I had been performing this piece for over 2 years when it suddenly occurred to me that there are no pieces about birth. It was a bizarre omission, although when I told a journalist this recently, he asked me, what's the connection? You know, because what's the connection between birth and vagina? I don't know. Almost 21 years ago, I adopted a son, Dylan, who was very close to me in age. Last year, he and his wife, Shiva, had a baby. They asked me to be present for the birth. I don't think in all of my investigation that I really understood vaginas until this moment. If I was in awe of them before the birth of my granddaughter, Colette, I am certainly in deep worship now. I was there in the room.
I was there when her vagina opened. We were all there. Her mother, husband and I, the nurse from the Ukraine, with her whole hand up there in her vagina, feeling and turning with her rubber glove as she talked casually to us, like she was turning on a loaded faucet. I was there in the room when the constructions made her crawl on all fours, made unfamiliar moans leak out her pores, and still there after hours when she just screamed suddenly wild, her arms striking at the electric air. I was there when her vagina changed from a shy sexual hole to an archaeological tunnel, a sacred vessel, a Venetian canal, a deep well with a tiny stuck child inside, waiting to be rescued. I saw the colors of her vagina, they changed. Saw the bruised, broken blue, the blistering tomato red, the gray pink, the dark. Saw the blood like perspiration along the edges. Saw the yellow, white liquid, the crap. The clots pushing out all the holes, pushing harder and harder. Saw through the hole the baby's head scratches of black hair. Saw it just there behind the bone, a hard round memory, as the nurse from the Ukraine kept turning and turning her slippery head. I was there when each of us, her mother and I, held a leg and spread her wide, pushing with all our strength against her, pushing, and her husband sternly counting, 1, 2, 3, telling her to focus harder.
We looked into her dance. We couldn't get our eyes out of that place. We forget the vagina, all of us. What else will explain our lack of awe, our lack of reverence? I was there when the doctor reached into with Alice in Wonderland spoon, and there, as her vagina became a white erotic mouth singing with all its strength, first the little head, then the great flopping arm, then the fast swimming body, swimming quickly into our whipping arms. I was there later when I just turned and faced her vagina. I stood and let myself see her all spread, completely exposed, mutilated, swollen, and torn, bleeding all over the doctor's hand, who was calmly sewing her there. I stood, and her vagina suddenly became a wide red pulsing heart. The heart is capable of sacrifice. So is the vagina. It can change its shape to let us in. It can expand to let us out. So can the vagina. It can ache for us and stretch for us, die for us, and bleed us into the difficult, wondrous world. I was there in the room. I remember.
And thank you for joining us. That is the end of our performance of the Vagina Monologues. I'm really glad that you stopped and listened. This is for the Women in Leadership Club here